Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Alan, hello. Welcome to Dubai. Thank you for making the trip all the way from Miami, Paris to Dubai. We appreciate having you here. Thank you all for attending. Before we start, Alan, I just wanted to point out something. Being in the hospitality industry, people always ask me a question. What is your favorite hotel in the world? And for many years, I had no answer. So a few years back, when we started collaborating with Alan and I visited the Faena Hotel in Miami, the answer was there. I had found my favorite hotel in the world. Then a few weeks ago, I went to the opening of the Faena in New York. So my answer evolved. My favorite beach hotel is Faena Miami, and my favorite city hotel is Faena New York, which gets me to a conclusion that what Alan does is far beyond creating a hotel, far beyond restaurant and design. It's creating an emotion that you feel quite uniquely, and it makes me say that this is my favorite place to spend time in. So Alan, thank you.
Thank you, Luisito.
Please do however you want to start, but I'd like you to start, if possible, on the early days, your fashion days, how it all started.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to be in Dubai. We are very excited that we are starting to develop a faena here in Dubai. So this will be my new home. And it's good slowly and slowly to get used to my new home. Then talking about, thank you for your words, Luis. I believe you're talking about my fashion years. And I think that fashion is such an holistic approach and way to do things that you learn that is very, it's why? Because you have marketing, you have business, you understand how to create desire from your customer, how to talk to them, how to tell them that what you have is unique, spectacular, and they have to spend thousands of dollars to buy it. So honestly, that was my university, where I started very, very young, at 18 years old. And as you can see, in those years, one of the first things that, if you can put the fashion, the first thing that we do is to create these incredible fashion shows that everyone wants to come. We have lines of the city. We make it in stadium. I'm talking end of the 80s. And the people was very emotional with music, all the rock bands, and the people in the tribune waiting and getting very emotional. So that were years for me that I realized that I feel very close to understand how to create desire and how to make people feel emotional. So for me, my fashion years, I believe that was key. And nowadays, almost 15, 20 years later, you see how all these big fashion, cosmopolitan, big holding companies, they are trying also to bring fashion into hotels. So I learned that a couple of 10, 15 years later, in the connection of how to take that emotion to try to leave it for something that was fashion, and how I can take that emotion to a different levels. So after fashion, that we were the first Latin American Argentinian company to sell in Europe, in France, in Italy, and was very interesting because it was a moment in my country where democracy was starting and the people dressed like a Bible of freedom. That's why it was so important. So with all that experience, I went to a couple of years to my place on the beach. I sold the company. I was not a fashion designer per se, but I love to give that emotion. And I went to live to my home on the beach in Uruguay, where I stayed there for 5 years, not knowing how I will continue my life. Why? Because as a creator, I didn't want to be I am not an investor. I create things. So how I can continue giving this emotion in which business, in which industry? So after a couple of years of that uncertainty that it teach me in my personal life a lot, I get into the connection creating my rose garden, the most amazing rose garden in Uruguay over the beach, that the best way to really connect that emotion to the people was to create and work with building, that the building become like melting pots of idea, of magic, of music, of people from around the world, all the artistic movement and healing. You know, my home is called Tierra Santa. That is our name of our healing house today in the Faena Hotel. And the people used to come 2-3 days and, you know, in a way get healed. And I say, the only reason why I would leave this incredible magic place is to give this healing and this emotion to the world. So with that idea, I started looking for how I will go back. So I went back to Buenos Aires, my city, and start finding in Buenos Aires. This is my place in Uruguay, in Tierra Santa, living with the ocean, lot of lessons. But this is my city of Buenos Aires, that as you can see, the city of Buenos Aires finished on the right side, and all the other side was abandoned. Was in the old time when Argentina was like a big power of economy, was because of the grain. And this was an abandoned grain factory, and the place, this is the factory, that I saw it from the other side. And I said, if I can buy this building, this is exactly the place that I need to create the magic and to create emotions. So, but all that place, there were no street, there were nothing, no light, no gardens, was abandoned, countryside, and these two buildings abandoned on the area. And this is how we start the process. I never developed a hotel, I never sold a Coke in my life, I only was doing fashion with the experience of having 25 stores from me and more than double in licensing. But this is how we start creating what it then became the Faena Hotel and the Faena District. We bought with my partner, Len Blavatnik, all the piece of land around. And we turned, there was a picture before, a very interesting picture, because in 4 or 5 years, you know, you see what you see from that abandoned building. That picture of the abandoned building was in year 2000, and this picture was in year 2007. So in 7 years, in a country that is no loans from the banks, we create the Faena District, that is all these 7 blocks of buildings, and all the developers follow around. So we create a magic place, a place that was abandoned, and we bring light. We bring, today is the most expensive real estate in the city, at the time also. So we create from nothing a neighborhood, but also not only a neighborhood, the most expensive neighborhood till today. So when today in Buenos Aires, they say, you are doing very well, you are very successful, I'm sure that you live in Puerto Madero, because this place was called Puerto Madero. So it's very interesting because we turn around and we create value in an abandoned place in only 5-6 years in a very difficult country, like a country like this area that you have all the support from government and banks and financing. But not only we create a district, we also create the Faena Hotel. We were an independent company, and obviously all the big brands, they were against us because we were very different. So we create one of the most successful hotel story in the city. This year is the 20 years anniversary, amazingly, of Buenos Aires. And we have a theater we have our tango show that is key for the people to come, our restaurant. We have also an iconic place today in the city. But not only that, we create the Faena Art Center, that is a building that is the back of the other factory of grain. And in that art center, we keep it for our non-for-profit, Faena Art, and we make the biggest and more interesting exhibition in Buenos Aires. And I think that get us much more close to the people, and today the Buenos Aires property is an icon on my city, is an icon of history, is an icon of present, and an icon of future. All our apartments that we sold, more than 1,500 apartments, are probably the most valuable apartment in the city. So that makes me feel very, very proud This is the other building that was the grain factory. As you see on the back is the Fine Art Center. On the back of the building, instead of making more real estate, more apartment, we said we will invest to elevate our Fine Art district. We bring a lot of public art. This is a very important artist in our city, and we create these arches, and we offer a lot to the community and to the city. This is the Fine Art Center. Obviously, a part of making 4 exhibitions a year is a place where all the big social events happen, where all the companies want to be to make an event like this happen in the city on the Fine Art Center. This is how we transform this old factory in what you saw, with big exhibitions like Ernesto Neto, and a lot of exhibitions all the time that we did in Buenos Aires. So when Buenos Aires turned 10 years, my partner, Len, told me, Alan, why don't we do this in Miami? I have a property in Miami. I said, Miami? I've never been in Miami. Well, you think that is a good idea? Yeah, it's a good idea. These are all exhibitions that we did in Buenos Aires. Because only to finish and before getting into Miami, I think the approach that Faena has is so different as any other hotel company. First, because we are not a hotel company. We love the people to stay, to sleep in our home. But what we do, we have a much more holistic approach to our guests, with music, with theater, with show, with entertaining, with healing house, with art and culture, and we elevate community. All our events and all our artist events are done free and open to the public. So that gave us a big mix with the city, and it gave us a big, love from the community to Faena. As I go back to Miami, with all that experience, and sorry, Liz, if you want to ask me something.
No, it's fine. You're answering the question without me asking them.
I can answer questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
But this picture are making me run.
No, by the way, I will stop the pictures and I'll move the way you...
But stop there. I don't know if you're the driving.
I can. Okay. It works without me, but I can stop it based on what you're saying. So
fast.
I'm trying.
So my partner told me, Len Bravatni told me, Alan, let's go to Miami. I've never been in Miami. And this is interesting because when you bring magic and an holistic approach, you don't need to be part of the city, because you take your flag, you take your vision, you take your heart, and the people want different things. They want a new vision, and they want an holistic, different approach that Faena brought. So we get into Miami, where for me, Miami, imagine from Argentina, Miami, America was all the smartest guy of the world, all the money of the world, all the biggest developer. We were small, we were independent. So I thought, okay, let's see how we do there. So we find all this, a little bit back, all this area, say, okay, Lenny, we go, let's do like Buenos Aires. I am not going to do a hotel alone. We need to make a district, because you make a difference when you create district, when you have an art center, when you have a theater, when you have a restaurant. It gives a different perspective, and we can do it all. And this is our differentiation, that we can do much more than a hotel, because the hotel is easy at the end of the day. It's people that stay, sleep, you create the pillow, you create the mattress, it is luxury. Okay, you're in the business of luxury. The difference is to create an approach where the people find life, where the people find magic, where the people find a tribe that they feel represented. And with that vision, we get into Miami also, like you see, an abandoned place. It was so abandoned that in 32nd and Collins, I don't know how many people know Miami, we have 4 blocks to buy. So I said, let's buy it all, because it's worth nothing today. Nobody was interested. These guys, they will never succeed, like in Buenos Aires, because it was very far away where all the hotel, this was a passage between the south to the north. So, sometimes being out of town is a big knowledge, because all the people of Miami, nobody will live there. People love to live south of 5th. This is 32nd to 35. No people of Miami will try to live. So it's okay, no problem, because we want to bring the people outside of Miami. We want to create a concept that the people of New York, that the people of Chicago, from LA, they all come and live on the city, on the Faena district. So with that experience, we create 7 blocks. This is a hotel. We create the residential of Faena House. If you can show, would be great. Well, this is inside the hotel. And we create 7 blocks that is called the Faena district, that is approved by the city of Miami Beach, the name Faena district. It's the second time that a district name appears. One is the Art Deco district, that is what makes Miami different and strong and worldwide known. And the second one is the Faena district. And we create this community where we have 7 buildings also, like Miami, like in Buenos Aires. And we have the hotel, we have residential, we have a theater, we have the forum for art and culture, and we have retail. And Miami allow us to bring this same approach. And today, in the same way that have been 20 years from Buenos Aires that we opened in 2005, in 2015 we opened Miami, so 10 years ago. Now we are celebrating the 10 years of Miami. And today, even after 10 years, we won last month the best hotel in Miami again for the last 5 years. The voter from Travel and Leisure Voters, the voters edition, #1 hotel in Miami, but also we have the highest rate, the highest ADR, and we have the biggest number for food and beverage, because again, nobody brings this approach of theater, music, entertaining that we bring. So in the same way that was successful in Buenos Aires, is very successful in Miami. This is the forum, this is the art center, what we are seeing now.
Alan, maybe if I can jump in. I think a very important point of everything we've been saying and everything you've done. So first, you've brought in Latin South America to the US. I think that's the first time the world has seen that part of hospitality. But also, it would be great if you can share a bit about the collaborations you do. Because you are the maestro, but who do you work with? How do you bring all of this to life?
Well, in this one that you can see here, the district, you see the art center is there. The art center, we developed it with Rem Koolhaas. The residential building, we developed it with Norman Foster, with Foster and Partners. But in a way, even that we work with them, we always give the narrative. Myself, I don't believe to work with architects that they can decide who you are. So I know who I am, but I love the best mind to interact with me. So in this way, probably we will see images of Faena House. This is when we open, then we will go back to the art. When we open the district, we make the first time that also in Miami, they allow us to close Collins Avenue, and we make a procession of 10,000 people. We went to different districts and neighborhoods of Miami. We allow them to be part together with big artists like Carpinteros. This is from the Tahiti neighborhood. So we mix Miami people with the best artists of the world. But going to your question, we love to interact. For example, the Foster building, I developed a place when I was talking before of living on the beach. The house on the beach is like an old boat, where the house is a rectangular in the middle, and all around you have the gallery. So with Foster, we develop in a modern way the way that I live very simple in the beach. So all the apartments have a big gallery around. So you can walk your apartment by the outside or by the inside. So follow the way that I know how to live on the beach. That in Miami, people love to be inside, air conditioning. Was not that connection in and out, you know?
Absolutely. And I think, Alan, you have a lot of investors in the room, and I think some people think that there isn't a financial return or a commercial aspect to everything you do. But I think very few people realize that you are a commercial person at the end of the day. Everything you do has ultimately an end what is business related. And I think this is something if you can touch base on, because people think that creativity and innovation is limited there.
And I think that is a limited there.
Yeah.
Exactly. The people that think that way is limited because they believe that. I think that in this world of today, with all this hotel opening all over, with all the things happening all over, the only way to survive, not today, thinking about 20 years from now, is work with new creators, people that have new vision of how to approach this business. And I think that for example, all the artistic thing that we do is all non-for-profit, and it doesn't go to the hotel. So it's all sponsored. The big sponsor come to us because it's the best way to promote themselves. They want to be with a company that represents their value. And Faena, not like any other corporate traditional company, represent their value. So you have all these big fashion brands, they all come to Faena because they believe that the values of Faena are the same value that they offer to their clients. All the big banks also, all these people come to Faena because they have the same value like us. And honestly, if you have all this value that today you see in all these places, they spend much more money. For example, I will give you an example in New York that we will go
right after this.
Right after, but in we call always on our entrance, like these ones, we never make lobby because, again, we are not a hotel company. So any place that have this incredible entrance, they will put the concierge, the reception, and you will see the people with the bags. We don't want to see anyone with bags because this is not who we are. So you walk into what we call this big hall, we call it in a way some kind of cathedrals. And we call it cathedrals because in this kind of place, based on this kind of, Venice palaces, when the people used to go and see the Duce, they see the walls because the wall represents your story. And this is what we do on our entrance. We create on those walls, we work with artists, and we tell our story, who we are, why we are here, together with the city, together with what's happening all around, with the history of the city that we are. So this is what we do always. And in New York, that you enter in this huge lobby, probably high like this one, or even higher. You see the project that the developer was having before was all marble, because today there is a confusion between luxury and marble, and all marble. They spend fortunes. So what we did, and you will see our entrance now in New York, we create a mural that represents our value based on a city that, like you have all these stories of the Rockefeller Center, Diego Rivera, all the big muralists that was in New York. So we create a modern mural, and that cost 5% of the cost of the entrance, but everybody talk about our entrance because it's so different. This is the entrance of New York, and if you have another image, you will see, and one more, you see this is what we were talking about, the mural. You see the size of the painter. We have been working 2 years, and we pay the same attention to the mural on the entrance that to the building itself. So everything, we pay attention to every detail, and this is a mural. These have 25 meter high by 60 meter long and represent all our stories. So when you walk in, you see this, and it's so different. They have another approach that make a big difference.
By the way, Alan, don't worry about the time. I told Tanya we're going to run over, so let's continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alan, I think we've heard together over the last couple of years people saying, oh, Buenos Aires is your city, you've done it. Oh, Miami, you were at the right time. We cannot imagine Faena in a city hotel. I think the translation of the Faena way in a city like New York that have seen it all maybe is something that is quite different. Can you just tell us about the journey that you did? How did you think differently than Buenos Aires and Miami to get to what you've done in in New York?
New York have a lot of history that you can approach, and we take some of that value together with the values of Faena. For example, bring fun. This is one of our restaurants. In this chandelier is an Italian artist called Alberto Garruti. In the way that we approach it like cinema. In the same way that I don't like the architect to design our buildings, I don't like designers to design our interiors because everything starts looking the same. The designer is more into, with the respect that we have designers.
No, of course.
I mean, it's not bad. They are doing the right things. But I will do the same if I am designer, but I am not a designer. So the designer, what they try to do is create a trend. And wherever you are in Dubai, you are in New York, you are in Miami or Buenos Aires, you recognize the designer. And that, in a way, diluted the value of the brand. And for me, for Faena, the most important, we design everything. We design from the clothes, me with my team, and the designer is part of, I put the designer as part of the Faena design team. And they add a lot of value. But the story is not told by the designer, the story is told by me and my team. And that is what makes a different approach. And you know, we work with a lot of artists on our table, as you can see, the painters, and there is a big team of collaborators that the designer is one of them. But I think that the story and the storytelling is from Faena. That's why you always recognize that you are at Faena. Because New York is very different like Miami. And it's very different in Miami than Buenos Aires. But you understand and you see and you feel that you are at Faena. And I think this is the most difficult things to do, and it's something that we approach, that you recognize a Faena product, a Faena story, a Faena storytelling, not because of the design, because of what the value that Faena offers you as you walk and you discover the place.
And I think we're running out of time. Before we finish, I just wanted to quickly stop on the future, on your vision for growth. Of course, without going too much detail, we're growing into this region. We were in Riyadh last week, where we've launched the first Faena mentions in Diriyah. Can you tell us a bit about the region? What's your sense about it? I'm not sure everyone knows, but Alan originally is Syrian, so he's part of the region. So can you tell us a bit about your feeling about what's happening here and the expansion we're exploring here in the region?
Yeah, it's true. I grown in a family. My four grandfathers are from Syria, so in my grandfather's house, everybody speak Arab. Even that we were in Buenos Aires, and the Syrian food, all the way from Kebbel, Amajin, Syrian, and Lebanese like you. And so I grown in the culture. So for me, when I tell my mother and my cousin and my uncles that I am here, everybody almost, it's a big celebration and almost cry, I can't believe you're going back. So this is, have a special meaning. And yes, we are developing project in the area, and I love it because all this region have the vision of the future. You see that when you are in different countries, as happened to me, everything here is possible. And I believe, honestly, with a lot of humble, that a Faena is needed because we approach it, again, in such a different way. How we talk about art, how we put communities together, how we give an offer to the community, a part of the hotel, a part of the luxury of the hotel, a part of the bed and the food. What we bring to the community is something that Buenos Aires, Miami, and now New York are so thankful. For example, we just finished a big exhibition that was the images of New York. This one, a roller skating. We bring imagine in New York, that is the community of the world, no? And we bring back the roller skating from the 80s, from the 70s, and we were having thousands of people coming. We make it with these Brazilian artists that you see the floor and the billboard on the High Line, and everybody's so happy. And that gave us so much recognition by the press and by the city, because we don't go and we don't arrive by the obvious place of being a hotel company. And I really believe that we are the future of hospitality, and we are the future of art and culture, because it's not about buying art. When you see a lot of people say we are close to art, because you can have the luck of buying $2-3 million piece, but that doesn't give you a community. That doesn't give you the love of the community for the project. the love of the community give you if you have the credibility as a non-for-profit that is Faena, because we do a lot and we do all without $1. We do it because it's the way to really give back to the city. And if the people of the neighborhood and the city love you and respect you, then the project change and get elevated. For example, we were, and we will be again this December, we are making an amazing exhibition in Miami Art Week to celebrate the 10 years of Faena Miami with S. Devlin, a huge exhibition. And it's going to be in the front cover of New York Times. So that gave a deepness and an amount of layers to the project that's why is the reason that we are the future. Because no hotel company can approach the community and the hospitality in the way that we do. Because we are the new way of hospitality. We are the new way of talking to community, to talking to the world. And I believe that we have the future on our hands. And that's why being on this region with this magnificent project that we are developing in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in Riyadh, in Diriyah, and in Red Sea, and much more to come, I think that will be amazing to continue to be close to you.
I couldn't agree more, Alan. I think the region, especially Dubai, needs a Faena, and we're looking forward to be able to communicate soon on that one. Thank you for making the trip. Thank you all for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.